Hey you guys, almost fall, traveling again today. I'm going to my clinics in Santiago, Chile. And guess what I never leave home without? This wonderful American product, you guys. And I'll explain to you in just a second why I never forget it, okay? So in my travels all over the world, what is it that I run into all the time? The common cold, which is what? Runny nose, scratchy throat, stuffiness, headaches, continuously non-stop sneezing, right? You know the symptoms. You guys, what is the epidemiology of the common cold? Well, the common cold is caused by 200 different viruses. That's why it's difficult to get an immunity against it, because there are so many viruses that can cause it. Although we know that the rhinovirus is the #1 cause of common colds and actually represents about 50% of common colds. But syncytial virus causes this, coronavirus causes influenza, parainfluenza, there's a bunch of them. Statistics. Did you know that we have 1 billion colds in the United States, about 700,000 in Brazil, and so on and so forth throughout the world? How is it passed? Well, you sit down, you use somebody else's keyboard, and just touching the keyboards, where somebody with a cold rub their nose, you catch the cold. Doorknobs, you can catch a cold. Or just coughing without covering themselves, or coughing and shaking your hands, or sneezing and shaking your hands. So infected droplets can definitely give you the common cold. Myth: cold and wetness can get you the common cold. No. What can give you the common cold? Well, extreme fatigue, extreme emotional duress or distress. Allergies can give it to you, okay? Let's talk a little bit about children. Many of you followers are wonderful moms. Children get, on average, 5 to 7 colds per year. So there's nothing wrong with your kid. And that comes just from close contact with other kids. Let's get back to that. How do we prepare for a cold season? As I mentioned, in fall and winter is when we're most likely to get colds. Why? Close contact. So at school, kids are back in school, close contact. And we at work don't walk out to have our lunch. We stay compacted together. And that is a perfect situation for spreading the common cold. But also all these heaters and our mucous lining get drier. And when the mucous membranes are drier, you're more likely to get a viral infection. So #1, make sure we have humidifiers. We'll get back to some of the other little secrets of how to prevent the cold. But I want to talk a little bit about when to call the doctor, okay? If your cold has lasted for more than 7 to 10 days, maybe it's time to call the doctor. And the reason is because there could be a super infection. So the virus, debilitated you a little bit. Now the bacteria can get into your respiratory system. You can catch pneumonia, bronchitis, something like that, okay? A sinusitis. So that's a good time to speak to a doctor, because they might prescribe you antibiotics. Is there a cure for the cold? No, viruses still don't have cures. So the treatment is largely symptomatic. As you guys know, I've had a long 28-year career as an allopathic doctor surgeon, so I love my profession, but some things about my profession concern me a little bit. So the rest of this talk I give as a friend, not as a physician. Let's talk about the symptomatic treatment, okay? Decongestants. I'll give you an example. Pseudoephedrine. Now, it'll dry and clean your nasal passages. However, after 5 days, you can rebound. Why? Remember I mentioned that dry mucous surfaces can easily be reinfected by the virus. It also increases your blood pressure and your heart rate. The thing that worries me even more is the cough suppressants. Here's an example: dextromethorphan. Now, of course, in severe cases, it will curtail your coughing. But nature, God, created your coughing to remove the phlegm, the mucus, and get rid of the viruses and bacteria, guys. So nature designed it that way, okay? All right, so let's talk about how to shorten shorten our colds or prevent it. Let's start with preventing. It's always the same things you always hear. Good nutrition, sleep, exercise, low levels of stress. Let's start with stress. We know that cortisol attenuates your autoimmune system. That's why stressed out people die earlier. They have dermatitis, they have asthma, spastic colon, ulcers, their hair falls. All right, so that's pretty obvious. Exercise. Look at this, what the studies show about exercise. All of the people who exercise, okay, their colds are 46% shorter. 46% shorter, okay? And they're also much less likely to catch the cold. Let's get back to the diet. One of the things I like the most, as you know, sugars. Refined sugars, you guys, which is all over bad food. It makes your white cells not move so fast after the bad guys, the viruses and bacteria. And it makes your white cells unable to phagocytosize, big word, which means to engulf and eat the bad guys, get rid of the bad guys, okay? So, very important to eat paleo diet. How many times have you heard me say that? All right, shorten the colds, all right? Did you know that zinc, studies have shown that it will shorten your cold by 40%. Luckily, zinc can be found in almost any pharmacy as lozenges or gummy bears. But here's the part I really like. As you guys know, part of my culture, we're really into homeopathy because the Brazilian Amazon jungle is full of wonderful, wonderful plants. And it was Ezekiel, the Old Testament prophet, who says, and the leaf will also be your medicine, okay? So let's talk about a little bit of some great home remedies, because sometimes people are traveling, sometimes they're far away in a different country, blah, blah, blah. So I always like to finish with home remedies. True or not true? All right, let's talk about we'll start with the straightforward ones. Chicken soup is a decongestant, okay? But they're also theorizing there's literally an antiviral element in it. Your grandmother was correct. Carrot juice is very good to boost your immune system. But gargling with salt opens up the pores, lets out the viruses, bacteria. Just the warm water is already curative, okay? But here comes the big guns. Ginger tea expels the phlegm. Now, I want you to drink a cup of warm milk and put turmeric, which of course is an Italian seasoning. And I want you to do that. Just before you go to sleep, okay? And my favorite of all times, and we'll finish with this one. I want you to, a regular spoon, not a teaspoon, get a scoop of Manuka honey. You can get it at Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, all kinds of places, healthy places. Put a few drops of actual lemon juice, just cut a lemon and put on it, and then a little cinnamon sprinkling. And try to eat 2 a day, 2 of those spoons a day, morning and night. But if you can do it 4 times, Manuka honey is magical. All right, you guys, I want you to be able to travel all over the world and not be annoyed by the common cold. So take these tips. Why? Because Dr. Ray loves you, okay? Until next time, thank you so much. And I will be here to address another topic next time. Thank you.